The master of influence does not dominate the conversation by talking about themselves. They listen with intense, penetrating focus. By giving the gift of attention, they activate a deep subconscious impulse in the other person to listen in return when the master finally chooses to speak. Cialdini also highlighted the principle of unity and liking, the innate drive we have to align with those who make us feel safe, understood, and part of the same tribe. The influential individual does not divide the room into allies and enemies. They find the subtle common thread that unites everyone under a shared frame. They do not push people away through debate. They bring people in by aligning with their fundamental human motivations. When these principles are seamlessly integrated into how you move, speak, and listen, you do not need to manipulate anyone. The room bends toward you naturally. To understand why these principles work so fast, we must look at how the human brain processes information under the surface. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman revealed that our minds operate on two distinct modes of thought, System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, and unconscious. It evolved over millions of years to keep us alive in dangerous environments. It makes lightning-fast judgments about every person you meet within milliseconds, long before you are consciously aware of it. System 2, on the other hand, is slow, logical, deliberate, and energy-intensive. It is the part of the brain that analyzes arguments, calculates numbers, and weighs logical decisions. Here is the crucial psychological truth. System 1 is the gatekeeper of the mind. Before a person ever rationalizes your words using System 2, their System 1 has already evaluated you. It has already made a primal assessment. Is this person a threat? Are they weak? Are they confident? Are they high status or low status? When you walk into a room, System 1 reads hundreds of non-verbal signals in a fraction of a second. It reads the posture of your shoulders, the speed of your stride, the stability of your gaze, and the rhythm of your breathing. If you appear fidgety, rushed, or anxious, System 1 immediately categorizes you as low status or emotionally unstable. Once that judgment is rendered, no amount of brilliant logic or clever words delivered by System 2 can completely erase that initial primitive impression. This is why logical arguments often fail to influence people. If you have lost the battle at the level of System 1, you are trying to convince a mind that has already categorized you as unpersuasive. The individuals who control every room understand this fundamental hierarchy. They address System 1 first. They establish physical calm, spatial dominance, and emotional composure before they ever open their mouths. They speak directly to the primitive brain's need for safety, structure, and strength. Only then do they deliver their message to the logical mind. Throughout history, the greatest leaders understood that true presence communicates long before words are spoken. Consider Julius Caesar. When Caesar returned to Rome after years of campaign, his power did not come merely from the legions behind him. It came from an incredible mastery of psychological optics. When mutinous soldiers surrounded him, demanding pay and threatening his life, Caesar did not panic. He did not plead. He walked directly into the center of the angry crowd, stood tall, and looked at them in complete silence. The room held its breath. When he finally spoke, he used a single word that shifted the entire psychological dynamic. Instead of calling them fellow soldiers, he addressed them as citizens. In an instant, Without a single weapon drawn, he stripped them of their military identity and honor. The mutiny collapsed immediately. Caesar understood that stature is not about force, it is about psychological positioning. Think of Alexander the Great at the river Hydaspes, facing an army vastly superior in numbers, with war elephants lined up on the opposing bank. His generals were gripped by fear. Alexander did not give a panicked, energetic speech. He rode calmly along his lines, making steady eye contact with individual soldiers, smiling with absolute composure. His calm was infectious. By remaining completely unbothered by the looming chaos, he signaled to his men that victory was already an absolute certainty. Or look at Napoleon Bonaparte during his return from exile on the island of Elba. Landing on the French coast with only a small guard, he faced an army sent by the king to arrest or execute him. The soldiers raised their rifles, ready to fire. Napoleon did not draw his sword. He did not run. He walked forward alone into the line of fire, unbuttoned his coat, and said calmly, "If you wish to kill your emperor, here I am." The soldiers lowered their weapons and joined him. Napoleon understood that human beings do not follow authority because of rules on paper. They follow authority because of an overwhelming demonstration of courage, emotional control, and absolute conviction in one's destiny. In every case, these men controlled the space not through continuous action, but through an immovable center of gravity that forced the world around them to react to them rather than reacting to the world. What ancient leaders demonstrated intuitively, modern neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists can now measure in the lab. When you enter a room, a complex biological conversation begins automatically. Central to this dynamic are mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that react both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. Mirror neurons are the biological foundation of emotional contagion. If you enter a room feeling anxious, needy, or defensive, your body language subtly reflects that state. Micro-expressions, quick, shallow breathing, tight posture, and erratic eye movements send immediate signals to the brains of everyone around you. Their mirror neurons fire, reproducing a shadow of your anxiety within themselves. Subconsciously, they begin to feel uncomfortable around you. Conversely, if you enter a room with deep, steady breathing, relaxed shoulders, and slow, deliberate physical movements, the mirror neurons of everyone present process that calm. You literally force their nervous systems to settle down. You become a stabilizing anchor in an anxious environment. People naturally gravitate toward those who make their nervous system feel secure. Modern research into status signals reveals several key non-verbal mechanics that control psychological dominance. First is eye contact. Low-influence individuals make quick, nervous eye contact and are the first to look away when a gaze is held. High-influence individuals maintain steady, unhurried eye contact. They do not stare aggressively, which signals insecurity, but look with open, comfortable curiosity. Second is the economy of movement. Observe how high-status individuals move. They do not make unnecessary adjustments to their clothing. They do not touch their face or neck. Gestures that modern psychology identifies as self-soothing behaviors triggered by stress. Their movements are purposeful, deliberate, and sparse. Third is vocal cadence. When anxious people speak, their pitch rises and their speech accelerates, driven by a subconscious fear that others will interrupt them if they do not finish quickly. Influential individuals speak slightly slower than average. They drop their pitch at the end of sentences rather than raising it like a question. They are not afraid of pauses. They know that silence after a statement does not weaken their point. It forces the listener to process it. This is calmness under pressure. It is the physical manifestation of high psychological status. To master the art of influence, you must first eliminate the psychological leaks that silently destroy your power every single day. Most people continually undermine their own authority without realizing it. They engage in subtle behaviors that broadcast insecurity to the entire room. The first and most destructive habit is neediness. Neediness is the desperate desire for approval, agreement, or validation. The moment you need someone to agree with you, you give them power over you. People can smell neediness instantly. It manifests as over-explaining, apologizing when no mistake was made, or constantly checking others' faces for approval while speaking. The second habit is over-talking. When you feel uncomfortable in a social setting, the natural temptation is to fill the silence with noise. You offer unnecessary details, explain your decisions repeatedly, or share too much personal information too quickly. By over-talking, you destroy all sense of mystery. You signal that your internal space is fragile and easily disrupted by a simple pause in conversation. The third habit is emotional reactivity. If someone can easily make you angry, defensive, or flustered, they control you. The moment you react emotionally to a provocation, you surrender your frame and adopt theirs. Look around you. The person who loses their temper in a debate has almost always lost the argument in the eyes of the observers. Anger is often a public admission that you have run out of intelligent options. The fourth habit is the lack of a psychological boundary. If you are open, predictable, and fully accessible to everyone at all times, you hold zero mystery. Influence requires a degree of distance. If people know everything you think, everything you feel, and what you will do in every situation, you become entirely predictable. And predictability breeds indifference. When you strip away these self-defeating habits, something remarkable happens. You stop leaking psychological energy. You retain your personal force. Building quiet influence is not about acquiring tricks or tactical maneuvers.